Right now for that fight, cruiserweight or against Makabu, I'm hearing that it's much more likely that he's going to fight Jermell Charlo on Cinco de Mayo. There are talks right now for that fight.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So that was Mike Coppinger, who was talking on an ESPN panel saying that there are talks that Canelo Alvarez will not be fighting against Makabu next. Instead, he'll be fighting against Jermell Charlo on Cinco de Mayo. Now, let me just start by saying this. I know that there has been an enormous amount of backlash when Canelo Alvarez announced that he's going to be fighting against another guy that people have never heard of, Makabu, a fighter who fights at cruiserweight who's already been knocked out twice, a fighter who has no speed, no defense, no boxing ability, no chin. He only has a belt, which obviously makes him the complete opposite talent of a Demetrius Andrade, a Charlo, a David Benavidez, a Bivol, or even a better Biev. So Mike Coppinger saying that Canelo Alvarez, or there's talks that Canelo will be fighting against Jermell Charlo next, that's great news. It would be even greater news if it is true. It's way too premature to get our hopes up high right now when it comes to this information and this news, because Jermell Charlo, he just put up a picture of him versus Caleb Plant on his Instagram the other day. You would think that if this information was accurate, Jermell Charlo would at least say, hey guys, he would announce on his Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, that he has a big fight to announce. He has some big news coming up. This is usually what fighters say when they have a big fight that they're working on, right? You're not going to put up a picture of you against Caleb Plant. And for the record, I'm not saying that Jermell Charlo is fighting against Caleb Plant next either. But it's clear that Jermell Charlo, he knows nothing about a Canelo Alvarez fight, at least not right now. On top of that, before the Caleb Plant fight, at least before Canelo fought Caleb Plant, Eddie Hearn, he had told us that Canelo Alvarez told him that he wanted to fight better Biev after Caleb Plant. Eddie Hearn was saying this is the reason why Canelo Alvarez is pound for pound the best fighter in the world, because he wants to move up to light heavyweight and he wants to fight better Biev and he wants to fight Bivol. This is what Eddie Hearn said. When he said this, he never mentioned Jermell Charlo. He didn't mention the other fighter that he promotes who's been calling out Canelo for the last 6 years along with Jermell Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, either. He only mentioned Bivol and better Biev. And what does Canelo Alvarez do? He comes out and he announced that he's going to fight Makabu next. So none of this is consistent. None of this is adding up right now. But when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, once again, because of the backlash, because no one wants to see Canelo versus Makabu. Even old media, they're running out of ways to justify Canelo Alvarez continuously cherry picking and fighting against guys that have no chance of winning a fight with him. Now, of course, there's still a good chance that Canelo doesn't care what the fans think, and neither does old media, because they can look at this as just Canelo winning another title. But winning a title means nothing if you're not fighting against anyone, and you're certainly not fighting against anyone that has a realistic chance of winning. Once again, we already know how that fight is going to play out. We know that that's going to be a fight that won't go past 3 or 4 rounds when it comes to Canelo versus Makabu. While you have other fighters that are really going out there fighting against tough competition like Jermell Charlo, who's going to be fighting Castaño in a rematch for undisputed. In a fight like that, we don't know how that fight is going to play out because it's a 50-50 fight. And we have fighters like Crawford, who's been going after the Errol Spence fight for years now, right? We have Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, who's always going after the best competition. And you have Jermell Charlo, who's always been chasing Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin for the last, once again, 6 years, along with Demetrius Andrade. So while all of these guys are going after the best competition, Canelo is going after the weakest competition, and I think that's the reason why there are talks of Canelo fighting someone other than Makabu right now, because it's a really, really bad look on Canelo Alvarez's part. Listen, I had told you guys after Charlo's last performance against Montiel that this is the perfect time for Canelo to go after Charlo, because of course that was Charlo's worst performance, and usually this is when Canelo fights his opponents when they're coming off of their worst performances, right? So if Canelo Alvarez can sneak in there and he could become the first person to beat Jermell Charlo, that would be a huge win. It would be the biggest win on his resume. And when I say the biggest win, I mean if he can get a win with no controversy, because most people believe he lost the Golovkin fight, he lost the Lara fight. We all know he lost to Floyd Mayweather. So if he could beat someone on the level of a Jermell Charlo with no controversy, it would be Canelo Alvarez's biggest win of his career, hands down. Now, whenever I tell you Canelo fans that this is the perfect timing for Canelo Alvarez to take the Charlo fight because he's coming off of his worst performance, Canelo fans always start saying stuff like, oh, look, you're already trying to make excuses for Charlo. No, you guys are the ones that made excuses for Charlo, because you guys are the ones that have been trashing Canelo's performance against Montiel, right? I mean, don't try to sit here now and say you think that Charlo put on a terrific performance and he really put hands on Montiel, because that's not what you guys were saying. So don't change your energy. You guys believe that that was a terrible performance from Jermell Charlo, and that's the same thing that I'm saying right now. And that's why it would make sense for Canelo to take the fight right now before someone else ends up pulling off the upset and taking Jermell Charlo's O away. So it sounds like no one knows what's going to happen, from Eddie Hearn to ESPN. People are just talking, but it seems like Canelo Alvarez is the type to just, at the last minute, get on the phone and tell his people, look, I want to fight Charlo next, or I want to fight Joe Smith next, right? Just at the last minute, get it done. It's like that's the type of business that Canelo does. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out soon. But, there's a chance. There is a good chance that we can get surprised, and it could be Canelo versus Jermell Charlo. It would be a huge fight. It would be a huge fight. And I'm sure, even though a lot of people are going to be thinking, oh, Jermell, he looked so bad in his last fight. But I'm sure that he's going to be training. He's going to be training seriously for this opportunity. So let's see. Let's see if Canelo Alvarez is willing to step his game up, or is he going to go straight to the big cruiserweight cherry and Makabu next. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
My name is Chris, and I'm all the way here from Anchorage, Alaska at Scalp Carolinas, and I'm here for my second treatment of Espn. Well, I was sitting at home one day and going over my Facebook page, and they have different, like advertisements popping up, and I saw one for Espn, and I saw some pictures of some guys, a before and after, and I was looking at that, and it caught my attention, so I Googled it. Espn, nothing showed up in my area. So, I did a little more research, and all of a sudden, Scalp Carolinas popped up in the web browser. So I started watching his videos and seeing all the reaction from all the other people. We talked on the phone, we made appointments and everything. I sent him pictures, and he looked at them, and I was like, can you fix this? And, he pretty much said, no problem. My first session, he made me feel extremely comfortable. It was almost like I was talking to family. He started, and during the whole treatment, we talked, and, about our families and our life and, and things that he does and things that I do. And before I know it, the first session was over. When you see someone doing something that they love, as much as I see Enoch Glover love what he does, it shows in his work. I wouldn't point anyone in any other direction but here to North Carolina, Scalp Carolinas, to get this done.
Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. Contact them at 704-499-3471. And make sure you follow them on Instagram. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.